Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. I'm Dr. Anna, and we're going to work together today with Task 2. It's wonderful to be here with you all. I hope you're all well. For those of you who have already joined us, welcome back. For those of you who are new to the writing class, welcome to the writing class. Please go to your chat box and select all panelists and attendees so we can share experiences and learn together. We have a very nice class ahead of us. We're also streaming live for all of you on YouTube. Welcome to E2 Language. And today we're going to be working with Task 2. It's Thank you so much for being here. Yes, we have a very nice class ahead of us. We're going to be dealing with writing, and also we're going to look into some grammar for subordinate clauses. So here we go. Let's move on. Wonderful. So before we get started, please use the chat box for communication. If you have any questions, please put the chat box. If I miss your question, forgive me. Put it back in and I'll certainly answer it. Okay? I also encourage you to submit your writings. Getting feedback is very important for you to know where you stand, where you're going wrong, and where you're going right. Our feedback is very detailed. So be sure that you look into all the comments that the teachers make, the suggestions of the corrections, also the links that we recommend. I also encourage you to book a tutorial, principally if you're stuck. It's very common to be stuck at 6 or 6.5, and suddenly you may be repeating the same mistakes. So book a tutorial, sit down with the teacher. Be sure if you book a tutorial for writing that you submit an assessment or you prepare an essay to work with the teacher. It's very important that we work on your writing, because if not, we're going to work with samples, and the best, that's not recommended. The best solution to help you identify your mistakes and to put you on track is to work on your writing. So be sure to have a writing available if you wish to have a writing tutorial. Okay, here we go. Once again, use the chat box. If you see a question from a classmate and you know the answer, we're all together in a virtual classroom. So let's get started. Oh, yes, today is the last day for you to purchase packages or upgrades. You can use the code YAY15. So take note here, and I really hope I see you in the tutorial. You can book your tutorials on the website. Select the date that is more convenient for you and the time. Okay? So today we're going to be dealing with task 2. You should write 250 words plus. In fact, for you to really, fulfill the band descriptors, you'll probably go around 300 words to extend and present your points. You should consider 40 minutes, and this task is worth 2/3 of your writing score. Today's topic, let's go. Before I get started, are there any questions? I can see the chat box rolling, but no questions. Are we good to go? Okay, then. Once again, use the chat box and I'll gladly reply. Okay, let's move on then. So today's topic is related to, I think you guys are familiar with this topic. Here we go. Let's first discuss video games. That's it. Here we go. Now, what are some computer games children play these days? Console game, okay. PlayStation, that's it. Yeah, now we have PlayStation 5, right? Minecraft. There are lots of options, right? How can computer games have a positive impact? Okay, what is a positive impact that computer games positive? Creativity, concentration. That's it. There are advantages. Of course, we know that there are disadvantages, but first let's focus, increase focusing, strategies, problem solving. Okay, wonderful. Those are good ideas indeed. We'll need them, save them. And how can gaming have a negative impact? It can time consuming addiction, lack of physical activities, less socialization, okay. Some health, eyesight problem, okay. Sedentary. Wow, these are really nice ideas. Congratulations on that. That's it. Moving on. Today's task then. So the task that we're going to work with today is some people feel that playing computer games has a negative impact on children's health and social skills. Others say that it can have a positive impact on their lives. Discuss both views. Okay, so here we go. Playing computer games can have a negative impact on children's health. Now, we're going to take a few minutes to analyze the prompt, and this is something that you should learn to do as well. Understanding the question is crucial because the main goal for task 2, it's important, double idea, double question, cause solution, to understand the type of essay. Most important though is to answer the question. You have to be sure that by the end of the essay, the question that was asked is answered. So here it's playing computer games has a negative impact on children's health and, but hold on, first, how can computer games impact negatively on children's health? So that's it. Okay, something came up here in the chat box. No, so Jamaluddin, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Will I lose points if I give my opinion? On contrary, giving your opinion or your position, stating your position is a band descriptor. So even if the essay doesn't ask for it, the essay prompt, you have to put it in. You will lose points if you don't have an opinion, if you don't have a position. Okay? So discussing, analyzing the prompt and starting to generate ideas. How do you generate ideas? Asking yourself questions. You have to, I know that you may feel that 40 minutes is little time, but trust me, if you put in a few seconds analyzing the prompt and understanding the real question, you will answer it thoroughly. So that's the main goal. So how can computer games impact children negatively? There are very good ideas here. So should I stand to both perspectives or merely one viewpoint? Okay, so discuss both views. You're not really going to agree or disagree. You're going to discuss both views and say which view you mostly agree with. Okay, but you can mention the negative, the positive, and show that there are both. But at the end, something should prevail. You should say that even though there are negative impacts, there are positive impacts that can, bring good results. Wonderful ideas. Now it says, and social skills. So we have to discuss here, and we can't forget that there are 2 points, health and social skills. So how can computer games impact negatively social skills? Okay, so here we go. So which part of the band descriptor states that giving opinion should be included? So bear with me just 1 minute here, and I will share this information with you guys. So if we come to the band descriptors that we have available, these are the band descriptors that we see. For a band 7, if you look here, in fact, you should take the time. There's a very nice video recorded by Alex in our E2 language YouTube channel Just type in band descriptors, and she explains all the elements of the band descriptors. But now, so for band descriptor 7, presents a clear position throughout the response. It doesn't say if the essay requires or asks. No, it's a band descriptor, so you have to do it. Presents a clear position and throughout the response. This is an important keyword. That means from the beginning, since the introduction, in the body paragraph, in the case of discuss both views, the view that you support, and then in the conclusion as well. Okay? So be sure it is a band descriptor, presents a clear position throughout the response. There we go. Wonderful. Back to our task now. So, what are the negative impacts on social skills? They are so addictive to gaming that they ignore outdoor plays, games, and social life. Exactly. Very good. They may become more introvert. Okay. Wonderful. So, now, others say that it can have a positive impact on their lives. So, what is the positive impact? We discussed at the beginning some of the positive impacts, right? Strategy, learning strategies. So we discussed this at the beginning. So now we have already, so as we ask ourselves questions, this is how you generate ideas. So the positive impact can be on teamwork, exactly, solution, critical thinking skills, principally depending on the game. Excellent. So now I'm going to show you the sample skeleton. So what does that mean? Intro, topic sentences, and conclusion. We will discuss in a few minutes the type of paragraphs that we're going to use. This is just for you to see a skeleton. So as we know, the introduction should have 3 sentences, a background statement. The background statement, the most important characteristic is that it has to be neutral. So should I express my opinion in Shashank, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Should I express my opinion in introduction or at the end after explaining everything? Also, should I provide example even if it's not asking explicitly? Okay, that's a very good question. You should express your opinion certainly since the beginning. That's crucial because it's a band descriptor. And examples you should also provide. Now, if we go back to the essay prompt, it says, give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples from your own knowledge and experience. So it's not in the essay prompt, but it's a guideline for this activity for task 2. So once again, you have 3 sentences in your introduction. The first sentence, it's what we call the background statement. The background statement should be neutral, but it should already introduce the main topic. The function of the background sentence is to prepare your reader for what's going to be developed in the essay. So years ago, children used to spend their free time playing games outside with friends or engaging in imaginative play. But now, they are more likely to be found glued to a screen playing computer games. So this sentence, anyone who reads it will basically agree with this. There isn't really any conflict. Now, we are going to rewrite the prompt. Some worry that this can be detrimental in terms of health and socialization, while others argue for the educational and cognitive benefits. So that's it. There are 2 sides, 2 views here. Both views will be discussed in the essay, and why I feel gaming needs to be carefully monitored by parents. So in this type of question, your position is what you consider. So what do you consider? That's the point, that gaming needs to be carefully monitored. So that's how you put in your opinion or your position. You don't need to necessarily state, in my opinion. You can. You won't get any kind of negative marking for that. But if you don't feel comfortable, if that's not what you, so you go with another way of expressing your position. Then we're going to discuss both views. Those who oppose gaming have strong points to make. So that's this paragraph we'll discuss with those that think that gaming produces negative impacts. Don't forget here, health and social skills. You can't choose if it's either health or you have to present both points. The second paragraph, nevertheless, others claim that computer games can be beneficial. And then you're going to start developing this idea in this paragraph. In conclusion, sitting on a device for hours on end is definitely not a healthy way to spend leisure time. However, with supervision, children who play computer games can reap benefits which will still serve them well in their adult life. We're going to discuss the conclusion yet. I think that maybe you have already identified a little slip here in the conclusion, but that's for us to discuss a little bit further on, okay? Now, let's move on. So this would be a skeleton. Marian, that's a good point. Only 4 paragraphs. We're going to discuss that right now. So structure. We always need an intro and conclusion, and they will be kind of like connected. There is a connection between both. And then we will discuss. But the body paragraphs will depend on the question and your response. So for example, for this type, which is discuss both views, you can have a first body paragraph that will say the first view, which is the negative impact on health and social skills, as Isna just said, the double idea paragraph, the UPPE, that's it. In order to this, you can't forget that you have to present both points. And the second body paragraph is going to be the second view, which is the positive impact. So you don't need to present positive impacts. In the essay prompt, it says a positive impact. So you can go with a single idea. Excellent, that's it. Or there is another choice, principally for those who like to be more detailed. You just have to be careful with your clock that's ticking, but you can do a 5-body paragraph here. So you can do body 1, negative impact on health, body 2, negative impact on social skills, and this that's it, Rahil. Both paragraphs would be single idea, and then that's it. All 3 paragraphs would be single idea in this case. So these are the 2 structures. You have to consider both views because that's what the essay prompt is asking. Discuss both these views. So one option is the 5 paragraph, the other option is the 4 paragraphs. Today's sample is structured like this. We're going to develop 1 double idea and 1 single idea paragraph. Okay? So double idea, Ankit, is when we present 2 points in the same paragraph, but with the same main idea. The main idea in this case is the negative impact on health. You cannot mix main ideas in the same paragraph. Okay? Is it okay not to mention our point? No, you have to mention your position in the introduction. Okay? But with the second option, aren't we giving more weightage to negative impact? No, not necessarily. Not at all. You need to be sure that you discuss both points, impact on health, negative impact on health, and on social skills. So is it okay to go with single idea for 5 paragraphs? Yes, you can do that too. Here we go. So for body 1, we have already decided. It's very important that you decide the type of paragraph you're going to use before you do your planning, because then you will be able to plan according to your structure. The more detailed your planning is, the better. Remember that there is a neurolinguistic process when we're dealing with language and with writing. What is that? So there is a connection of how you think with language skills. So that's why it's a neurolinguistic process. So when you're going to develop your ideas, you shouldn't scatter them around, just, bluntly take notes. You should do it in an orderly and organized way. That will produce a better essay. And you will be sure to stay on topic and with using the appropriate structure. So here we go. Once again, our topic. Some people feel that playing computer games has a negative impact on children's health and social skills. Others say that it can have a positive impact. Discuss both views. So for 4 paragraphs, can we use body 1? But that's it. We're going to use body 1. Well, body 1, we're going to use double idea to answer the question. So always consider your paragraph structure to help you plan. That's what we're going to look into now. Will our score be will our score Partik? Will our score affect if I'm able to give only 2 negative and 2 positive? Well, 2 positives, you can do that, but that's not really what the essay prompt is asking from you. Okay? So we're going to plan now. We know that in body 1, we're going to use a double idea. And in body 2, we're going to use the single idea. So if you're going to use the double idea, remember, here, the umbrella sentence, you don't really have to write now. What is the umbrella sentence? Well, you're not going to write full sentences in the planning anyhow. The umbrella sentence is going to introduce what the paragraph will develop. And you will only know that after you make your plan. So after you have your point, extend, point 2, extend, you will use this to refer back and produce your umbrella sentence. It'll be much more effective and much more detailed. So be sure that the umbrella sentence reflects and expresses what the paragraph will develop. In order for you to know what the paragraph will develop, you have to first plan. So let's go to planning now. Here we go. So you're going to say, point 1, what is a negative point of children? Now, how are we going to divide this? We have to discuss health and also social impact. Don't forget, that's why we're dealing with a double paragraph, because one point is going to be dealing with health, and the second point is going to be dealing with social skills. So the negative impact on social skills. So we know that this paragraph is going to be negative. It's the negative impacts. So this is how you should outline it. And here, it's the positive impacts. Okay, we got it? Wonderful. 3 minutes and we'll be back. Focus. I'm going to, during the planning, I'll leave the chat box open so we can share ideas. But when it comes down to writing, I'm going to close the chat box. So let's share ideas now and let's focus on this. Very good ideas I can see already. Here we go. Okay, good job. So I can see some students already bringing in the negative impacts and suggesting, for example, obesity. But now, why obesity? Why would obesity be a problem? Because of
Okay, good job. So I can see some students already bringing in
because the obesity, there's lack of exercise. So you have to present the point and extend it. So don't put in obesity, deformity, eyesight. Select one and then extend it. Don't only list the problems. Remember that only listing is not really the solution. You have to present a point, which is one of health associated to health, and then extend it. It's very important the extending. What that is also a band descriptor to extend your ideas. So here we go. Moving on, let's see what we developed here. Before we move on, let's take a peek now at the band descriptors. This chart is a very, I think, useful chart because we took the band descriptors and we kind of like summarized it with the key points. So it has 4 criteria. Each criterion has some points to be analyzed. You have task response, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, grammatical range. So take a picture of this and save it. It helps you check your writing. For example, in coherence, use paragraphs, use a range of linking devices appropriately. So this is a little checklist. You can see that there's the box here. So when you finish writing your essay, you should always come to this box and check if all of these elements you have put in. So let's take a look from some subordinating conjunctions. On Tuesday's class, that was the focus. These are conjunctions that you can use or relative pronouns to build complex sentences. In order to achieve a band 7 plus, you have to have well structured complex sentences, and it has to be, if we check up here, demonstrate a wide range of structures. So use complex structures. Try to avoid repeating the same conjunctions. So because, try to vary. Because, since, as. So how many sentences should you use? Well, there isn't really a clear answer, but when it says demonstrate, use a wide range. So a wide range of structures, compound structures, complex sentences, relative clauses. Okay, are we allowed to use words like gonna, gotta, kind of? No, definitely not. You should not use these kind of words for task 2. No contractions. You can use idiomatic expressions only if they really fit in. Don't try to shove in some idioms just for the sake of it. So once again, these are the words that you should use or that you can use to build your complex sentences. Relative pronouns, con- conditionals using if, unless. So these are very valuable. They definitely enrich your writing. Introduction, here we go. So now it's your time to work. You have been working hard very, very much. We will continue. So I'd like to see now you write your introduction. I'm going to close the chat box not to distract you because now it can be very distracting. Please send in your writings in the chat box. I love reading what you write. Yes, the last ones are relative pronoun. In the list, that's it. The last ones, these are the relative pronouns. That's when you build relative clauses. Okay, moving on. Here we go. Now it's your turn to write your introduction. So remember, 3 sentences. The background sentence is neutral. You can use the main topic to help you write the main topic here. What is the main topic of this essay? What would be the main topic here? Video games, that's it. Okay, so the main idea here is video games. So the positive and negative impact, that's already part of the question. The main idea, it's really computer games. Excellent. So here we go. Please put your ideas, send your writings in the chat box. We'll be back in 7 minutes. Focus. Okay, wonderful. Now, I was reading all of the comments coming in. There are many. I tried to reply to some. I use capital letters in my comments, please. It's not because I'm being rude, it's just to point out where I'm correcting some points. Many of you are saying both views will be discussed in this essay. Excellent. But don't forget, what is your position? Both views will be discussed, and why I believe or why I feel that computer games have a negative impact on children's development or something. You have to already put in your position right here in the introduction. Not only say that you will discuss both views, but why you believe one or the other are, are prevalent, okay? Don't forget that. Here we go now. So I'm going to grab one here that was the last one, I think. I'm not sure. So let's just discuss together quickly. I'd like you all now to work with me so that we can learn together. Here we go. Capil, this is yours. So, what would you do to make this better? So, that's my question. What would you do to make this one better? How can we make so? Please put your suggestions in the chat box, but we're going to start by beginning the sentence with a capital letter, right? So nowadays, excellent, very good, Darship. Video games have become an indispensable part of a child's life. Okay, a statement. Some individuals express their concerns pertaining to a young one's health and social implications, which may transpire because of playing computer games. Now, I'm not sure the meaning here, what you want to say with transpire. However, others hold the opinion that these sorts of games, so this is a little bit, these kinds of games, can result in betterment of a child's life. Remember the capital letter here. In the following paragraphs, both views will be expounded. Once again, we're missing the position. Where is the position? So you have to include your position. So something like will be, I don't think, um, be careful with vocabulary, okay? Both views will be discussed. And why I feel, so here you could go discussed. And why I feel, so on. What do you feel? What is your opinion? What is your position? So don't forget, this is very important. I would love to correct each and every writing. I love to correct writing, but unfortunately the clock is ticking. Once again, the word transpire here, I'm not sure. Vocabulary accuracy, preciseness is really scored, which may transpire. I think that you have to express why there are these concerns. Okay, why there are concerns. Remember that in the introduction, you don't have to put details yet. You're introducing to the reader what will be developed. So the ideas and development will come in body one, body two. This is to set, it's like to set the scenario for what is going to happen. You state your general sentence about the topic, then you rewrite the prompt, and then you say what will be discussed in this essay and your position. Okay, here we go. Wonderful. Moving on. Body one now. So, body one, what paragraph structure are you going to use for body one? We're going to discuss the positive impacts. So, double idea, excellent. We're going to use a double idea. Now, what's the main point you're making here? Is it the positive impacts or the negative impacts? Okay, the negative impacts first. Now, in the negative impacts, what are the 2 points that you're going to discuss then in body paragraph one? Because we have 2 points when it comes to negative impacts. Excellent, love, that's it. Health and social, perfect. Mental health can be one associated to health, okay? But the main focus, so the main idea that we're going to discuss here are the negative impacts. We're going to discuss 2 points. Point one, health. Point two, social skills. So the negative impact on these 2 points: physical, psychological, Gulam, if you are thinking of psychological as a health issue. Okay? So, what Rajat, social skills, it's all of those activities that are connected with social activities. Okay? So, umbrella sentence, it's the topic sentence, in fact. Okay? It's going to introduce what the paragraph will develop. Since it's a double idea, imagine that it has to cover both points. So when you present your umbrella sentence or topic sentence, it has to show the reader what the paragraph will discuss. Okay, so that is the umbrella sentence. Most likely, like I said, you will write the umbrella sentence after you have planned, after you know what you're going to discuss. Even though we do know that this paragraph is going to be the negative impacts on 2 points: health and social. Okay, that's it. Okay, Ragesh. So, obesity is one of the health issues that result from playing video games. And in terms of social skills, it's social anxiety disorder. Very well. Here we go. So, now you will work on paragraph 1. Focus. Please put your writings in the chat box. I love reading everything that you write. Unfortunately, I can't give feedback to each and every one, but I recommend that you save this essay and discuss it with the teacher during the tutorial. Yeah, the chat is closed now because there are many students and it may be distracting. Do we need to add our opinion? Yes, Gias. So we discussed this at the beginning of the class. Even though the essay prompt does not request your opinion, you have to put in a position. It's a band descriptor. Here we go. Okay, wonderful. Sorry, I was busy reading the body paragraphs that you guys sent in and trying to give some feedback. Here we go. I've selected one, as I said, at random for us to work with. So Isna, this one is yours. So remember, what is the purpose of this one now? Negative impact on health and social interaction or social skills. So we begin, please put in the chat box now your suggestions that we can to make this paragraph better. So we would start with some people that advocate that playing computer games have or has detrimental effect on social has, that's it, because we're talking about playing computer games. So here has detrimental effects on social and health of the child. So social what? Remember that social in this case has detrimental effects, right, on their, very good suggestion here, on their social, maybe development, not to repeat, skills and health of the child, on their, um, no, not there here, hold on, let me see here. So some people advocate that playing computer games has detrimental effects on a child's social development and health. So that would be the best option here. Playing games for almost a whole day will lead to health problems such as eyesight. So, such as eyesight what? Yes, eyesight. Weaker eyesight, okay. Poor eyesight, very good, that's it. For instance, continuously staring on screens will cause eye strain. So this is a double idea paragraph. You don't necessarily have to bring in an example, but you can. So here, playing games for almost a whole day will lead to health problems such as poor eyesight. You can even go like this. For instance, comma, for instance, continuously, a little spelling mistake here, staring, staring will cause eye strain, will cause eye strain, which may either lead to burning of eyes or watering of eyes. Okay, so you extend it here. Such games will also make a child more introvert. So here, maybe instead of saying a child, you can make children more introvert, and I'll explain why. Because then your pronoun here, as they will be left, so as, so instead of, nope, final stop here, as they, so you don't need to, you see, instead of using child, as they will be left alone without interacting with friends, and it will also be difficult in large gatherings. So you focused a lot on the health, but you did not present the second point that would be the social skills. So another relevant point, you would have to have a second point clearly stated. Point one, health, extend eyesight problem. Point two, social development problems, and then extend saying that they will be left alone without interacting with friends. It has to be very clear your structure, okay? So work a little bit more on your structure. I'm sure that you can get this. The ideas are good, but they have to be more well organized. You don't necessarily, Carlos, have to write a concluding sentence, but you can, okay? It's all about the clock ticking. Extending is very important. So extend your point. What is the point? Health. What point of health? Eyesight. Second point, social skills. What is the point that you're going to extend in social skills, such as lack of interaction with friends, which can lead to this and this. Okay? So always present the point clearly. I would love to correct each and every writing, but unfortunately the clock is ticking and we have to move on. Here we go. For those of you on YouTube, if you wish to join us and participate in the Zoom classes, please register at E2 Games, not E2 Games, at E2 Language, so that you can participate in our Zoom classes. So how could we link? There's a question here that I would like to. Here we go. So body two now. So let's focus on body two. Body two, what is the point that you're going to discuss in body two? What is the point that's going to be discussed in body two? Could we link the health issues one paragraph? Yes, so Josue, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. You have two options for this topic: 4 paragraphs or 5 paragraphs, remember. So you can develop health in one paragraph and social skills in another, definitely. But now for body paragraph 2, what is the focus now? So now we're going to discuss the positive impact. Excellent, that's it. So, single idea, one positive impact of playing. So, the point is positive impact. Explain that computer games can have, cognitive benefits and so on. Then you're going to provide an example. The example can be fake, it can indeed. You can tailor your example according to your point. And then after you write your example, you're going to ask yourself, what is the consequence of this? What is the result? Because that's when you produce your effect. Okay? You can mix, yes, Tamao, you can mix paragraphs in one essay. You can do one single idea and one double idea. Here we go. Let's focus on body two now. Okay, good job. Wonderful. You guys are working very hard. I'm impressed to see so many good paragraphs, a few grammar slips that really have to be looked in, subject verb agreement. But that's why it's important to get feedback. So here we go. Let's see what we have for paragraph 2. As I said, I selected at random. Let me see who is coming up. Avash. So I'd like now your suggestions. This is a single idea paragraph, so that means you have to develop it with a point, explain, example, effect, and then you're going to link the linking leading to the conclusion. On the other hand, computer games can have positive impacts on a child's health as well. Allowing children to play games will certainly make them sharp and develop their cognitive health as well. Would we work with the preciseness of vocabulary here? Is it cognitive health? Cognitive abilities? That's it. Very good. Coyote, I hope. I would avoid skills here not to repeat. This may apply only to certain types of games, which, now, certain type, which is or which are more mathematical. Exactly, which are more which maybe you could go, which focus more, I would, instead of are, which it would be certainly here, if you were to use the verb to be, you would have to use are, but I would go with focus more on mathematical or puzzle solving. Now, not those games, these games, because you've just mentioned it, right? So these games, which, hold on, now I see. Those games which, so if you were to use those, you would have to have mentioned it. So I would just go games which include, not fight, not includes. So I would not put those here because those is a pronoun that refers back to something that was mentioned previously, unless you mentioned it in paragraph 1. If not, games which include fight, bloodshed, etc., may not be a good idea. Now, a good idea is like poor vocabulary, recommended for children. Okay, so I would go recommended for children. I know a guy who has learned to drive just by playing a computer game. So this kind of comment you should not insert. So you can go, for instance, it is possible to drive a car. So then you would bring this as an example. He was already familiar with all the simulators and techniques required to drive just by playing a video game. Likewise, another guy, so this is very informal. Be careful when you bring in your example. It can be, of course, your personal experience, but put it in a way that it presents itself as an example, as evidence. Okay? Likewise, thus, it is not always that playing computer games only has a negative impact. So, some singulars and plurals here, it does seem to have positive, uh, positive sides too, positive results, maybe. I would go instead of sides, right? Definitely, if it were, we would use side. It does seem to have a positive side too. Okay, so here, this part, it would have to be rewritten to make it sound and really seem as an evidence or effect. Or example. Okay. Now, after an example, you can ask yourself, what is the result of this? So, thus, it is not always that playing computer games only has only have negative impact. So no because impacts is plural. Okay? A few twists here and there, but you're on the right track certainly. Okay? So thank you all for sending in your writings. And it's really wonderful to read all of these writings. Let's move on now. The conclusion. So since our clock is ticking for homework, you guys will do your conclusion. so that the class does not extend too much. I would love to correct each and every one. Maybe we'll meet in a tutorial and save this writing. So for homework, you guys will work with your conclusion. Let's check now. So check, proofreading is very important. There are two techniques that you can use for proofreading. You can proofread each paragraph before moving on to the next. For some students, depending how your mindset works, it's more effective. And for others, going at the end and proofreading the full essay. You really have to test both and see which one is more effective for your mindset, for your ability, for how you organize your thinking. The list that we have here are the most common mistakes that we see when we correct essays. Not necessarily in this order, but these are the most common mistakes. So you should, as you receive feedback from the teacher's corrections, you should list your mistakes and work on them. So let's suppose if the teacher mentions that you have trouble with articles, that's it. Go to our E2 school. All of you registered at E2 language, you can access and work with a lot of material that's available in E2 school. So I highly recommend. Subject verb is when you have the subject, for example, children, and the verb. When you say children, you cannot say children is, it's children are. So the subject has to agree with the verb. We have seen a few here. Make sure you edit. So your edit means that when you are checking, when you are proofreading, you check your grammar. If you know what your most common mistakes are, your eyes will kind of like search for these and you will reduce. You have to understand that for a band 7, you have to produce sentences without grammar mistakes. You can have a few grammar mistakes, so be careful with that too. If we look here, it says, for grammatical range, use grammar accurately. So that's what they're asking. Accurately means few mistakes. Once again, take a picture and use this checklist as a checklist to verify if you're on track with your essay. Okay, Kyla, yes, you can cross the word. You don't have to necessarily erase it, okay? Yes, so Barik, that's a very interesting question. You will end up writing more than approximately 300 words to really extend your ideas and develop the essay. 250 is not enough indeed. Okay, nobody is blocked. Now I'm going to open up the chat box. Sorry, I forgot about that, so that you guys can participate all together. I had closed it because we were having a lot of participations and that could. So if you feel that you have a lot of grammar mistakes, I highly recommend that you, if, as an E2 language student registered, you can go to E2 School, which is our sister website, and do grammar. Any tips for improving writing? Definitely. So afterwards, as I said, the checklist, you should have time to check your essay before you conclude it. So in computer-based general, is there the option of spell check? No spell check, okay? Can we add bullets or numbers? Okay, that's a very good question. So Sachin, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Words such as firstly, secondly. So these are what, we learn this to write essays, but this is a very good 6. You will get a 6. You should avoid what we call mechanical markers. Firstly, secondly, in addition. So these words or expressions or phrases, they are recommended. I know that you probably have learned them as connectors to write an essay, but if you're aiming for a 7 plus, you have to stay away from these common words. We call them mechanical because they're very automatic. So avoid them. So instead of saying in addition, what does in addition mean? You're adding. So another relevant point, it should also be considered. So add another phrase that has the meaning of in addition instead of using in addition, firstly, secondly. Okay? So, how many complex sentence structures are recommended? Thank. Okay, so that's a good question. The question we recommend as a general guideline 5. So that would be 2 compound, 3 complex, including 1 conditional, certainly. Okay. So how can we use our experience as an example in body 2? The life class, I'm not sure what you mean here, sorry. Are there any particular marking structure for those different paragraphs? For instance, what mark allocated? No, so you will be scored on these 4 different criterion. So you have 4 general criteria, and it's broken down into 4. Uh, so this is our final essay, and this is where I would like you guys to focus on in the conclusion. Read the conclusion, and what would you do to make this conclusion better? So in conclusion, sitting on a device for hours on end is definitely not a healthy way to spend leisure time. However, with supervision, that's it, Vlad, excellent. Add an opinion, perfect. So, and where can you do this? However, I believe that with supervision, children who play computer games can reap benefits which will serve them well in their adult lives. There you go. So somewhere you put in there, I believe, in my opinion, it's not because the essay prompt did not ask clearly that you can't use it. You can use it, definitely. So certainly here, to make this conclusion even better, for sure, in fact, to make it correct, you would have to reinforce your position. Can we add references to some research? Okay. You can make up a research result, definitely. Uh, I don't recommend that. I think that any kind of it becomes very general. So according to a research at Harvard University and so on, try to make this, for example, in Canada or in Brazil, anything that you could to make it less general. A good conclusion, Marian, 2 sentences is just right. Okay. If the question prompt asks something like discuss advantages and disadvantages, do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? Do we need to put our opinion? Yes, yes, you should also. You can go with something. I will outline what I consider to be the most relevant advantages and disadvantages, or why the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. Okay? Can I say the negative impacts of this outweighs the positive impacts and then restate my conclusion? Not in this case, because that's not the question. The question is asking to discuss both views. So you can highlight which view you support. Okay? Toshita, is it allowed to use generic statements like according to experts in child development? You can, but once again, this becomes very general. And as much as you can avoid, it's like the word people. Every time you're going to use the word people, ask yourself, who are these people? They can be consumers, students, uh, social media users. So try to avoid using the word people if you can identify who are these people. So extra practice, where can you get extra practice? I highly recommend that you listen to this episode at in E2 Talks. You can register. It's also available in Spotify. This episode, Jay interviews two specialists at IDP and they discuss task 2. It's really beneficial. If you bear with me 1 minute, I'll bring in the link for you guys. Just give me a minute here and I'll bring the precise link for you. Here we go. Let me grab this here. I have the link here. It's not far away. Okay, so this is it. So I'm going to put the link in the chat box so that you guys can access straight this. There's also one episode that I sit down with Alex and we discuss in detail. Here it is. I'm putting it in the chat box as well. So many students, they're stuck, let's suppose at 6, 6.5, and you need to boost that. So this podcast, episode 16, Alex and I, we talk about what can be done to change this score of 6, 6.5 to a 7. Okay? I also recommend that you review our recorded classes. So we have several types of classes at E2 Language. There is one that's skill building. So for example, on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, these classes, they are focused more on developing structure, focusing on grammar, okay? Also, use self-study material. In core skills nowadays, as I said, click and you'll be able to enroll in E2 school. Submit your writing and speaking for feedback, definitely. Tutorials, they are very recommended, trust me. They're very productive. I love tutorials as well. If you have any questions, please contact our support team. They are awesome. I love them. They are very competent. Hello at E2 Language, and I am sure they will get back to you. If they don't know the answer, they'll find the answer to get back to you. Okay? So to improve writing, I'm going to stop the recording now and I'll stay online answering these questions, additional questions, okay? For those of you who are taking the test in the next few days, I'll pray for you to have the energy and the insights, a little bit of luck, fingers crossed that you get a topic that is familiar to you. I wish you all a very good exam for those of you sitting the exam in the next few days. The completed essay, here we go. Let me show you guys again the completed essay that was requested here. Someone asked for that, so let me here we go. This is the final essay. Remember that the conclusion should be stated. Your position should be restated in the conclusion. Okay. The best way to improve vocabulary is by reading. As I said, I'm going to stop the recording. For those of you who still have any questions, please stay online and I'll certainly answer them. Here we go. Thank you all for joining me. We have, as I said, check up your calendar. There are several types of classes at E2 Language that I'm sure can help you improve your writing. For those of you on YouTube, thank you so much for joining us. Register at E2 Language so you can participate in the Zoom classes. Have a wonderful day or evening, depending where you are. Bye-bye, guys.